The Miss Juneteenth pageant, the real thing, is something that you grew up around, right?
Yes, it's something that I would go to annually or at least every other year, but it was definitely part of the fabric of my childhood.
You never participated in it.
No, no, but I just remember it being so formative for me. Like, I mean, I would see visually the Miss Juneteenth pageant in my head, and I guess that's why it stayed with me because, I just remember having this really like strong visual of like all these young Black women just kind of floating out on stage. I think it's like a line in Miss Juneteenth about that these women felt like they were floating. Like that was my experience as a young Black girl. Like you would see these young Black women in every, shade and every hair texture and every size,
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember feeling really affirmed and represented, when I would go to the Miss Juneteenth pageant. And there's also this sense of sisterhood I can't explain. I just felt, really, really good about being there, and it stayed with me. And I even hosted one version of it one year. So,
oh, really? Like the MC, like the
I was the MC. I don't know how good I was as the MC, but I sure tried. I got to be backstage and I got to see how the young women, feel right before going on stage. And it was totally informative and really inspirational for me. And that's when I really, I talked about that sense of sisterhood earlier. I really was experiencing that in real time. And then, tried to create an atmosphere like that on set. And it just naturally kind of came back with the young women that were playing, Miss Juneteenth contestants. Early drafts of the script, there was much more world in the script,
meaning what?
like meaning I was from this community and there's so much of it that I wanted to show. There were so many more locations and so many more characters. And, I was just trying to fit it all in because I wanted people really to know where I was from. As we continued to develop it, it became clear that we really needed to, or I needed to pull back from there or find a way to layer it so that that I had Turquoise and Kai's story in the forefront because, the mother and daughter story for me is the love story,
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be as respectful of that as possible. So the world, got kind of pulled back, but I learned how to sneak it in other ways. I know the yellow dress was first instinctual. And, because yellow always just made me feel good, and then I came to understand just like that it's about hopefulness. Yellow also often denotes our hopefulness in things. And so I knew that the dress had to be yellow. Coincidentally, I kept seeing a yellow house for Turquoise's house. And we ended up not going that direction. But I'm kind of glad that we didn't, because then the dress became kind of the focal point of that hope. So that was, yeah, definitely important to me. We'll see what I continue to do in my career with color, because like saturation is so important. But I think like the saturated colors were also informed by the community. Like you literally go in that bar and that green just pops. I had such incredible creatives on this film. Olivia Peoples was our production designer, and she does so much, with so little. She's amazing. But like the bar, she just enhanced the bar because the bar already had layers and layers of character in it. Like we couldn't create that. That was just there. And Olivia came in and put her beautiful spin on it. And then Rachel Daner Best was my costume designer. And so, we all kind of got together and coordinated on these things. And, I'm so glad to see it here. And I wanted to feel, grit in the film. And also, communicated with Daniel Patterson, my cinematographer. I want to feel like the heat is coming off of the film. This particular shot was seared into my head. So
Really?
it's planning, but it started with it, like it's God, it's instinct, and it's seared into my head. Like I saw it, before I ever fully planned out the film, and then I storyboarded it, but I just knew instinctually. And that's why it's so funny that like it's the shot that, people kind of bring up when they talk about Miss Juneteenth, because the even the writing of it, like it was always my favorite scene. And I don't want to misquote myself, but it was just like, Turquoise on, sitting on the porch, the crooked, the crown on her head is crooked now, and like she has the
Mm.
cigarette, like she takes a pull from her cigarette. And actually, I storyboarded, but Neil and I also went out and photo boarded it with me standing in as Turquoise. I think we were kind of putting together kind of an ad hoc mood board for ourselves. By the end of it, Turquoise is in almost every single scene. On the page, I'm very specific, and she had a very specific emotional journey on the page. And so I needed an actor who could fit that bill. Nicole is Juilliard trained, and I was familiar with her body of work. And it was important to me not to just have, as I mentioned earlier, that tough love version, but also be able to bring in that, the subtleties of this woman's like emotional experience. Like she's a woman with a dream deferred. Like we don't need to hit everything over the head with the hammer. There's sometimes we just need to be with her like in quiet moments and quiet human moments. Alexis Chikeze, this was her first feature film. And, the description of Kai in the screenplay, and I'm going to misquote myself probably, but it's just like Kai 14 is something like her eyes look like she's seen too much too soon. And so that was the quality that I was looking for in the actor. I also was looking for an actor who, a teenager that was local, a Texas teenager who could, walk and talk in the region. So it didn't feel forced or like, she was acting. Kai really is navigating. There's a fear that she may end up with her own dream deferred if she isn't able to like come into her own, if she's weighed down by kind of Turquoise's wants for her, even as well-meaning as they are. I was really amazed she like wasn't intimidated by actors that she's seen before, on like television or film. She just kind of fell in and went to work. I was thematically telling this story about freedom and what freedom means for each of these characters, actually, what delayed freedom means for each of these characters. Juxtaposing, of course, the fact that Juneteenth commemorates the day that the enslaved people in Texas found out they were free, unfortunately, 2.5 years after they were actually free. So what does that mean for us, as Black folks in present day, that our ancestors went through that? And how does that delay freedom for us? It's also, a film about dreams deferred. And, for Turquoise, I was also examining, what happens when good things come too late, like freedom. In the same way Miss Juneteenth was representation for me, this film could offer some sense of representation for other, young Black women. The story being so specific, but also being able to be accessible to other people, and people have been able to find stuff in it, like the mother-daughter story and this love of community and, this unique day in which we're commemorating. And I feel good about that.